Welcome to Global Chronicles TV, your trusted source for in-depth analysis of global events through a biblical lens. Here, we explore international news, political, economic, religious, and social trends, all while highlighting spiritual truths and divine principles. Today, we're tackling a critical issue that impacts us all: the initiatives of the World Economic Forum and the challenges they pose for our future and the generations to come. Whether you're a Christian or simply concerned about the direction our world is heading, this video will equip you with the insights needed to understand these pressing matters and prepare for a future where discernment and vigilance are essential. Stay with us as we uncover how to navigate the turbulent waters of today's world with wisdom. So, what is the World Economic Forum? Founded in 1971 by German economist and Professor Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum is an international organization headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. The World Economic Forum is best known for its annual meeting in Davos, where global leaders, CEOs of major corporations, policymakers, academics, and other influential figures gather to discuss pressing economic, social, and environmental issues. The World Economic Forum collaborates with its members and a variety of partners, all contributing their expertise to tackle global challenges. These partners and members include multinational corporations like Google, Pfizer, and Unilever, international organizations such as the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and the World Bank, governments and public institutions like the European Union, the United States, China, and India, NGOs and academic institutions, including Greenpeace, Amnesty International, Harvard University, and Oxford University, foundations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, and Open Society Foundations, and major media outlets such as the New York Times, BBC, and CNN. The World Economic Forum focuses on several key objectives aimed at addressing global challenges and shaping a more sustainable future. These include promoting a greener economy, modernizing housing and transport infrastructure, fostering technological innovation, strengthening global health systems, reducing economic and social inequalities, developing smart and sustainable cities, and encouraging sustainable food practices. To advance its green economy agenda, the World Economic Forum advocates for eco-friendly practices and environmental protection. This involves supporting renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, and hydropower, alongside initiatives to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and combat climate change. However, critics argue that the transition to renewable energy sources could result in significant job losses in traditional sectors like coal and oil. Additionally, implementing green technologies demands substantial investments, which pose a major challenge for developing countries that still lack basic infrastructure. In terms of modernizing housing and transportation, the World Economic Forum advocates for the development of smart cities. In these cities, buildings are designed to automatically regulate energy and water consumption, minimizing waste. The forum also promotes transitioning from traditional fuel-powered vehicles to electric and autonomous ones, as well as shifting from private to intelligent public transportation. An alternative proposed by the World Economic Forum for environmental protection is the adoption of bicycles. According to the proponents of such initiatives, The goal is to reduce congestion, pollution, and make cities more livable. In cities like Singapore and Barcelona, for example, intelligent public transport systems, including mobile apps to optimize travel routes, are supported by initiatives from the World Economic Forum. Critics, however, raise concerns about the technologies used in smart cities, such as cameras and sensors, which they believe could lead to heightened citizen surveillance and privacy violations. Furthermore, some accuse advocates of these policies of advancing an agenda that restricts individual freedom, particularly by limiting private vehicle ownership and usage. These critics argue that such policies could reduce personal mobility and force people to rely on transportation systems controlled by authorities, potentially exacerbating inequalities by limiting transportation access for certain populations. Regarding technological innovations, the World Economic Forum advocates for the adoption of advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence, automation, and robotics to boost productivity and foster innovation. The organization also promotes the training and reskilling of workers to help them adapt to these technological advancements. Critics, however, caution that automation and robotics could replace many jobs, especially those requiring lower qualifications, leading to structural unemployment. They argue that individuals without access to these technologies or the necessary training could be marginalized, widening the gap between those benefiting from technological progress and those left behind. In the area of global health, the World Economic Forum strives to improve health systems worldwide and prepare for potential health crises. The organization played a significant role in distributing injections during recent health crises and continues to work with governments to ensure equitable distribution in future emergencies. However, some accuse the World Economic Forum of manipulating or even creating health crises to influence governments, impose global political agendas, restrict individual freedoms, and reduce the world's population. Additionally, critics claim that the organization, in collaboration with pharmaceutical companies, prioritizes financial gain over public health, asserting that certain injections and medications are experimental and may cause more harm than good. In terms of reduction of economic and social inequalities, the World Economic Forum promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion policies aiming to integrate more women, ethnic minorities, marginalized populations, and LGBTQ+ individuals into society and the labor market. Critics argue that the World Economic Forum is sometimes disconnected from the realities of the populations it claims to help, with its initiatives often perceived as top-down impositions by a global elite. Moreover, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives are sometimes seen as attempts to politicize businesses, forcing changes that are not always welcomed in all cultures. For example, some argue that the active promotion of LGBTQ+ rights can lead to a form of reverse discrimination, where individuals or groups who do not share these ideologies are considered intolerant, even if they do not necessarily harbor personal prejudices. Additionally, critics argue that the emphasis by the World Economic Forum on diversity and the inclusion of women and minorities can sometimes detract from the focus on skills and merit. According to these critics, some diversity initiatives could lead to situations where individuals are chosen to meet quotas or diversity goals, rather than based on their qualifications and competencies. This could harm the effectiveness and performance of organizations and create tensions within teams. In promoting sustainable food practices, the World Economic Forum discourages reliance on intensive livestock farming by supporting research and development of lab-grown foods. Among these foods are in vitro or cultured meat, produced from animal cells grown in a lab without the need to slaughter animals; synthetic milk produced from milk proteins through lab fermentation, bypassing the need for cows; egg alternatives made from plant or synthetic proteins that mimic the properties of chicken eggs without coming from hens; lab-grown fish produced from fish cells without the need for fishing. These lab-grown foods are often made using technologies such as 3D printing, which allows not only the appearance but also the texture, structure, and sometimes even the taste of traditional foods to be recreated. The World Economic Forum sees these initiatives as solutions for a more sustainable and environmentally friendly agricultural system, while addressing global food security challenges. According to the organization, these initiatives aim to reduce the ecological impact of traditional food production by decreasing the use of natural resources, pollution, and greenhouse gas emissions associated with intensive livestock farming. The organization also promotes the consumption of insects as an alternative to traditional meat, believing that insects are rich in proteins, vitamins, and minerals with a much smaller ecological footprint than conventional livestock. It encourages this practice as a sustainable solution to feed a growing global population while minimizing environmental impact. Furthermore, the World Economic Forum supports the production of genetically modified organisms known as GMOs, which it believes can resist diseases and extreme climate conditions. The organization considers that GMOs can help ensure global food security by increasing agricultural yields and reducing losses caused by challenging environmental conditions. As you can imagine, initiatives involving GMOs and lab-grown foods face significant criticism. Many critics argue that GMOs and lab-grown foods not only increase reliance on technologies controlled by a few powerful corporations, but also threaten nations' food sovereignty. By allowing major agribusinesses to dominate the global food supply, these initiatives are seen as marginalizing small farmers and reducing the variety of available foods, potentially erasing local agricultural traditions. Moreover, concerns about the potential health risks associated with GMOs and lab-grown foods are mounting. While the long-term effects of lab-grown foods on human health remain insufficiently studied, research suggests that GMOs may be harmful. Key health concerns include the rise of new allergens or an increase in existing allergens, potentially triggering allergic reactions in susceptible individuals. Additionally, the use of genes for antibiotic resistance as markers in GMOs may contribute to the development of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, making infections harder to treat. There are also concerns that genetic modifications could introduce unexpected toxins or harmful compounds in food, though direct evidence of this has been inconclusive so far. Another significant issue is that the promotion of these agricultural technologies might lead to the further consolidation of control over seeds, genes, and other essential natural resources in the hands of a few corporations. This privatization could force farmers to depend on expensive, patented technologies, diminishing their autonomy and putting global food security at risk. Despite claims that GMOs and lab-grown foods offer sustainable solutions, critics question their actual environmental benefits, citing uncertainties about their long-term impact on ecosystems, biodiversity, and sustainability. The World Economic Forum's push for these technologies has also been criticized for disregarding the cultural and economic realities of local communities. Critics argue that such top-down global agendas impose one-size-fits-all solutions, often failing to address the specific needs and agricultural challenges of different regions. This can lead to resistance and conflict, as local traditions are overlooked in favor of globalized practices. Furthermore, some critics, often linked to conspiracy theories, assert that the World Economic Forum's view of the world as overpopulated underpins the push for artificial food. They argue that the promotion of lab-grown foods and GMOs is part of a larger agenda to control and reduce the global population based on the belief that limiting population growth is deemed necessary for planetary sustainability. These critics suggest that such artificial food practices could potentially affect fertility rates and overall human health, leading to lower birth rates and higher mortality among the global population. This idea of controlling and reducing the world population is not new. It echoes themes from historical eugenics movements, which advocated for selective breeding to improve the human race. Eugenics often operated under the guise of public health and social welfare, promoting the belief that certain populations should be encouraged to reproduce while others should be discouraged or prevented from doing so. Critics of current agricultural practices draw parallels between these historical ideologies and contemporary agendas, suggesting that the promotion of GMOs and lab-grown foods may reflect a modern iteration of eugenic thinking, masked as a response to overpopulation and sustainability concerns. Last but not least, the World Economic Forum actively advocates for strengthened international cooperation to address global challenges such as climate change, health crises, and economic inequalities. This involves creating public-private partnerships to develop global solutions, organizing forums for world leaders to discuss and collaborate on key issues, and harmonizing regulations between countries to facilitate cooperation. The organization also plays a role in managing climate and health crises, promoting unified policies and coordinated responses. However, critics argue that these initiatives may undermine national sovereignty by shifting too much decision-making power to international organizations that are not elected by the people. They express concerns that this could lead to centralized global governance, which would operate beyond the democratic control of citizens. Some accuse the World Economic Forum of pushing a globalist agenda, aiming to impose a new world order where governments are influenced, if not controlled, by an international elite at the expense of national interests. As we can see, the World Economic Forum is a powerful organization with liberal ideals and ambitious initiatives. At first glance, these efforts seem to promise significant and positive changes. Supporters emphasize a global vision focused on sustainable development, reducing inequalities, and enhancing the quality of life worldwide. However, critics highlight major concerns, including the centralization of power, increased reliance on technologies controlled by a global elite, and potential threats to human health, individual freedoms, traditional values, and biodiversity. The debates surrounding these initiatives reveal tensions between global governance and national sovereignty, technological innovation and its social and ethical implications, environmental objectives and economic realities, as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion policies versus traditional values. These tensions underscore that while the World Economic Forum plays an influential role in shaping discussions about the future, it also raises critical questions about its impact on individual freedom and the well-being of populations. Given these dynamics, it's legitimate to question whether the World Economic Forum should be trusted or approached with caution. In my opinion, each of us needs to stay vigilant to avoid falling into the traps of ideas that may seem beneficial on the surface, but could ultimately harm humanity. As Rabelais wisely said, "Science without conscience is but the ruin of the soul." The issue with many of the World Economic Forum's ideologies is that they often appear to stem from a dystopian vision of the future. Novels like 1984 by George Orwell depict a world where extreme systems of control and mass surveillance are justified under the guise of societal improvement. Similarly, certain proposals from the World Economic Forum, such as the increased reliance on technology and the push for centralized global governance, echo these fictional authoritarian regimes, raising concerns about their potential impact on individual freedoms. Moreover, the normalization and promotion of the acceptance of homosexuality, transgenderism, and other practices that are contrary to biblical values are sparking intense debates. For many, these movements are seen as attempts to redefine human nature and moral foundations that societies have upheld for centuries. The repercussions of this transformation on family structures, education, and traditional social norms are profound, as these ideologies have led to a questioning and rejection of biblical truths in a world striving for new identities. Therefore, I invite each of us, especially Christians, to remain vigilant in the face of an organization like the World Economic Forum and its ideologies. The Bible warns us in Revelation 13 that in the end times a global system will emerge capable of deceiving and leading many people away from the truth. It is crucial to remain spiritually awake, especially against movements and ideologies that, under the guise of progress, could divert us from our faith in humanity. In our next video, we will explore the connection between the World Economic Forum and the Antichrist system. If you found this analysis interesting, like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our videos. Also, share this video if you found it useful, and stay tuned for our upcoming content. Until then, take care.